What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the True Form podcast. Today, we're wrapping up the last couple of episodes, teachable moments, habits, strategies, everything you can take away so you can start living a long, healthy, happy life and find your true form. And we've got a Q&A at the end. A lot of good questions today. And it goes to show that you are listening to the podcast because I've got a few questions based on certain guests and things they've said. So again, big thanks to those people that have submitted those questions. I am also looking to the side a little bit because for the first time ever, I am doing a podcast live within the True Form community. You guys in there at the moment, I have got you muted and the chat turned off just so I can stay a little bit more focused. A little bit nervous for this one. I'm hoping it all works out well. But if you want to join in and be a part of the podcast, so if you are listening along on the podcast and you hear a guest talk about something and you're like, oh, I agree with that, disagree, I've had this experience and this was the outcome when I did that, whatever it is, now you can jump on and have your say. So at the end of each podcast, I'm going to open it up and we're going to talk about it. So you can jump on, have your say. If you don't want to be on camera and you don't want to do that, you can jump in the chat and put it in the chat and just put your questions in there. Or as I'm going through the wrap up of each episode, you can just be in there and just type away and say, Jack, what about this and what they said in this part? And we can discuss that. Awesome. I'm looking forward to it and I want you all to be in the community. It's not just for the podcast as well. Within the community, we're going to be doing challenges, so health and fitness challenges, but hidden as habits that you can build to, again, live a long, healthy, happy life. So that's going to be a part of the community. There's obviously the workout program, the True Form Protocol workout program. That is available to anybody that signs up to the community as well. That's just a follow-along program. We're all smashing it out together. So all the things... I am a PT in my other day-to-day life outside this podcast. So obviously I'm keeping my pulse on, all the new studies that come out, what works, what doesn't, and I'm implementing those things with my clients. And the things I learn that work, I put them into the True Form Protocol. So it's not just... exercise science is a weird realm. Like there's a lot of things that do work, but they're boring. And if they're boring and they're not entertaining and you hate doing them, you're not going to be doing it. So this program, the True Form Protocol, is basically just all the best parts of exercising that are fun, entertaining, wrapped up into the program. And it covers everything: fitness, like cardio, strength, hypertrophy, mobility, recovery. It's all in the program. So if you're not sure when to do your cardio, when to do your recovery, it's all in there. So again, obviously I'm very stoked about that. It's the program I follow as well. So if you're doing it, I'm doing it as well. And also courses within the community. I was going to put the courses behind a paywall or charge for the courses, but at the end of the day, I want you to find your true form. Like whoever you are listening along, I want you to be the best version of yourself and live a long, healthy, happy life. And I don't want money to be a barrier for you to do that. So I was going to charge people for it, but I've just decided to put the courses out there for free. So there's courses on everything that I'm learning from the podcast. Obviously, I do this podcast, interview all these people so I can find my true form. I'm just going through life trying to live the best, happiest, healthiest, long life that I can. And there's things that I learn that I know that are going to help you. So at the moment, there's a course on how to build good habits, 30-day course. It's a lot of fun. So I've, again, taking the fun side of the things that I'm learning from the podcast and putting it into a course that you'll stick with, but also builds good habits and builds discipline rather than motivation over those 30 days. Again, it's all hidden in there, so you actually get it done. That's one course. There's another course coming out this week about HRV. So if you want to track your HRV, it's all well and good how to track it, but how do you use that to start improving your overall health and wellness? That's a course in there. So all I ask, so all these courses are free. So go on, do them. All I ask, if you do get something out of it, join the community. Obviously, the community costs a little bit of money. It's $44 a month to be a part of the community. But a part of that is we're a community. We're going to build these courses together. So the whole point of the True Form podcast, the True Form community, is that we come together and work towards finding our true form, but helping others as well. So if you're going through one of these courses and something comes up or something doesn't quite work, and you can reach out, let me know. And if I keep seeing that trend, we can, as a community, we can evolve that course so it's a lot better, and then it helps other people find their true form. So I'm putting these courses out there for you guys to do, and as you go through them, you give me feedback and they just get better and better, and they help the community more and more and more. So again, I'm excited for that to happen as well. So again, if you're listening along and you want to be part of it, I would love to have you in the community. Jump in there, links in the show notes. I think that's all I had for you about that sort of stuff. Let's get into the wrap up. Again, a lot of good guests recently. I have been, and I think the first one I'm going to go over with Sarah just goes to show just how you can just mindsets, all the things that I've learned over the last couple of guests have just rolled up into this first episode that I'm going to cover from Sarah. Where is it? Alchemy is a combination of moments, experiences, and consciousness that create something powerful. You don't need to have it all figured out. The magic happens in the mix. Stay curious, stay open. I love that quote from Sarah. So alchemy is basically chemistry. When you mix certain things together, certain things happen. And I do believe, and Sarah and I spoke about this on the podcast, where I was trying to think of real world examples of this. So I'll come up with two. I don't know if they're the best examples, but if you're trying to get a new job, then you go out and learn a skill. You learn that skill. It might not be enough to, get you a job with that skill. But if you've learnt that skill and then you surround yourself with people that are passionate about that as well, and then you have a passion about that skill, chances are you're going to find a job in that area that you're trying to do. But again, it's those combination of three things that you have to find and have to work on and have to nurture to finally get to that result. But it's not only that. You don't want to go through that with that final result in mind. You're just going in there with a passion about that skill. You're trying to find other people that are passionate about that, passionate about whatever you're trying to achieve. And then also you're working on it. You're trying to be as best you can. So again, it's just culminating that, and out of that, you would find a really good job. Same with exercise or trying to chase down a goal. If you're going to the gym, it's not necessarily, you're not going to get results just by going to the gym. It's a combination of going to the gym, eating the right food, sleeping, drinking enough, and the mindset of, yes, I do want to change and go into the gym to achieve these sort of goals. Again, it's that mindset, that passion towards you finding your true self and becoming a better person. So it's a combination of all that will get you the results. But again, you're not really focusing on the results. You're focusing on all the mixes, all the chemicals that are going into that. Don't know if that was a good example. If anybody listening has a better example, would love to hear it. But yeah, again, that was a good episode with Sarah. It just goes to show, even she was just blown away with what happens. She just explained how her whole life has basically just been a mix of these experiences and moments that lead her into the next one, into the next one, into the next one. And now she is teaching young people how to, challenge, not challenge the world, I guess it could be challenge the world, but navigate the world in challenging ways to come out the other side and be doing something powerful. Great episode. Go back and listen to that one. Next, I had Mamuch on the podcast. Very inspirational young man. I can't, what he's done and how he's achieved it and how he went about achieving it as well. I was speaking to him about this in the podcast, how in this community now, there's a lot of people trying to do things that will help people. Creating communities, creating courses, starting YouTube channels, podcasts. There's a few people in this community trying to get out there and do that. And then there's a lot of barriers that you set on yourself to stop you. And Mamuch just says, just go out and do it. And the charity he's made, he started it and he just started doing charity things. He literally just went out and funded some money, bought a bunch of soccer balls, footballs, I guess you could call them, and boots, and then sent them back to South Sudan. And before he even had a charity set up, he was doing those things in a charity way to, achieve his goal. But he didn't have all these things set up. He just went and done the thing. And I think that was the biggest takeaway from this episode. I do have a little quote from him there. Oh, yeah. He did speak a lot about looking after yourself. So, again, it's not selfish to look after yourself first. You can't pour into others if you're empty. 100%. Prioritize physical, mental, and emotional health. When you operate at your best, you can best serve your family, community, and your mission. And it's 100% correct. I think a lot of people miss this, and not just when you're trying to build a business or a charity or, build a community. Like, it could just be in day-to-day life. I see this all the time, especially with my clients. Everybody's trying to help everybody else, like whether it's your family as well. Like, again, it's not bad to look after your family, but you can't be looking after your family if you're run down, tired, upset, poor mental health. Like, if you can fix all those, spend a little bit of time focusing on you, whatever that looks like. It doesn't have to be in the gym. It doesn't have to be eating the best possible food. It's just, again, you've got to find what fills your bucket so you can fill everybody else's. And if you are a parent, you've probably got a couple of buckets to fill. So you need to look after yourself first. And it's not selfish. It's more beneficial. And if I find sometimes people feel like, it is selfish, but it's not. And if you're made to feel like it is selfish, then you probably need to have a conversation with the people around you to say, hey, I need time to look after myself. I'm feeling this way. My mental health isn't there. This half an hour of whatever you want to do, insert activity there to improve your mental health, is going to help me function better, and it's going to help me love you, support for the family, whatever it is. So if you feel like if you feel guilty for doing it, communicate that to the people around you, and more chances or not, they're going to be there to support you, and they'll 100% agree. Sometimes it's hard to, see what people are going through because, Mamuch said this in the podcast as well. Like, he was a good example of, it looked like everything was, he was killing it. Like, on paper, he was killing it. His charity he just built was just doing more and more and more. They were getting more money in so they could do more things. So he was everywhere in the press, on the news. He was doing all these things, but his mental health was dying, and not dying, but he was struggling a lot inside. But on the outside, it looked better. So, the people around him, how do they know that he's struggling if he doesn't communicate it? And that he goes over that in the podcast. He gets to a point where, he just went to his friends, family, co-workers and just said, look, this is happening. I need to work on myself. And he started doing it. And you know what? His business is better than ever. His charity is better than ever. So again, just take the minute to communicate that to people around you, and they will understand and they will support you. Good episode. All right, Cam Harris. So great, another great episode. I was stoked when Cam said he'd come on the podcast. Cam works with CEOs, so very busy entrepreneurs, people in charge of a lot of, people, like big business, I guess you could say, a lot of employees. So, and when people sort of hear this and they're like, oh, whatever, that doesn't really work for me. But these people are very busy, very scheduled, and they're trying to improve their health. So there's a lot of takeaways you can take from those people that are doing a little bit more than you, and use that in your day-to-day life and copy those habits that they're doing to improve your life. And the biggest takeaway from this episode was, Cam and I pretty much spent the whole episode talking about, what you're doing outside the gym, because when people are looking to start getting healthy, the first thing they do is go to the gym. And going to the gym is great, and you should be going to the gym. Definitely exercise, as I always talk about, is very important. Strength training, cardio, flexibility, mobility, whatever, it's all important. But it's adding something in. So if you're already super busy, you don't have to be a CEO of a big business. You could just be living your life and super busy working, whatever you're trying to do. Adding something else in isn't necessarily always the best thing to do when you're trying to create a healthy lifestyle. So we spent most of the episode talking about what you need to do on outside the gym that you're already doing. So you're already going to be eating, you're already sleeping, you're already drinking. So why not improve those things you're already doing? And you'll see results a lot quicker. And then you add the workouts in, and you're going to be able to you're going to have more energy to smash the workouts, and recover better. So you're going to get more from those workouts. So I'll come back to that in a second. But if you're already run down, you're super busy, you're not eating properly, you're not sleeping properly, and then you're trying to work out, yes, it's good to work out, but you're not going to be recovering properly. You're not going to have energy to put into the workout. So you're not going to be seeing results. And then you're like, well, the gym sucks. So I've been smashing it as hard as I can, but I'm not seeing any results. And what's going on? It's because you're not focusing on everything else. So again, you're going to be sleeping. So do the best you can to create a good sleep environment, a good wind down, wake up routine, all that sort of stuff. You're eating. You don't have to go and change all the food that you're eating. You can just make small little changes. Small little changes over a couple of years are going to add up to big changes. So just start with breakfast. Make some small little changes to your breakfast. Make it a little bit healthier for a month, and then make another small little change. You don't have to go and just overhaul your breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, all that sort of stuff. Just little bit at a time, and they will add up, and they will make a huge difference over time. I talk about that with my clients all the time. Like when we first have the first initial consult, they're like, keen's a bean. And again, Cam went over this in the podcast as well. And I did ask him that question, like, how do you just get people to just slow down and focus on one thing? But if you can just take the time and just improve one thing at a time, it's just going to make a huge difference. Again, are you drinking enough? Like, don't drink your calories. Again, I've said this a few times on the podcast, but people drink their calories. If you're having a large coffee with milk, 1 or 2 sugars, and you're having 2 or 3 of them a day, that's a lot of extra calories throughout the day. Just swap it to a black coffee or, skim milk, just trying to cut the calories down. Don't drink soft drinks, all that sort of stuff. Super simple. Just swap it out for water. If you need that fizziness, just go some fizzy water. Just try not to drink your calories, and swapping to water will change your life as well. But you're already drinking. So again, it's nothing you're adding in. You're just swapping a few little things that are going to make a huge difference. So a big takeaway from that is you reflecting on your life and looking at what you're already doing. Don't change anything. Just change the things that you're already doing. Again, huge impact, easy to change. Good episode. Where are we at? This is probably one of the biggest episodes. I don't know if it's the biggest episode, but most people reached out. And I think that was because I started the community as well, right as this episode came out. So a big thanks to Dr. Avi Charlton for coming on the pod and also being the first episode for the podcast in the community. But a lot of feedback on this episode. If you haven't listened to it, go back and have a listen. So Dr. Avi Charlton is a doctor. She has been for 20 years, 25 years. And she has changed her mind on pretty much everything that they taught her in medical school, which, again, it's starting to become more common, and I think it needs to become more common. There's certain things within the medical industry. I've been called out on that, calling it an industry, but again, my personal belief, the medical industry, it is an industry. Okay, they're there to make money, unfortunately. And there are doctors out there that aren't there to make money, but to improve people's lives. And Dr. Avi Charlton is one of those people. And it comes through. So she works, again, she's writing a book on prescribing lifestyle rather than medication. I'm not saying medications are bad and you should not take medications. They have their place. Medications can be good and they can save your life and they can help you live a long, healthy, happy life and find your true form. But again, prescribing lifestyle instead of just take this medication and walk out. Like, there's obviously, as I've just been talking about, there's things you can be doing in your life that will completely change what you're doing, the way you eat, all that sort of stuff. So Dr. Avi Charlton just says, ask better questions and be curious. and you know that is what I'm all about here at the True Form Podcast, is just asking good questions. If you can ask better, good questions, you'll naturally just become a better person. I can't stress that enough. Just because somebody says something to you, and I think it's a good way of cutting through all the BS on social media, all that sort of stuff. Like, if somebody says something, it doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. Just think about it and ask a question on that thing, or ask a better question. If somebody's asked a question about cholesterol, think about it, go over their answer, and then just ask a better question. And you'll just keep going deeper and deeper and understanding more and more, which you can start using. And again, you might not end up using it because it might not be applicable to you, but you've got a good understanding of it. So again, ask good questions and be curious. Great episode. So we went over a lot. And one of the biggest takeaways was you can't outrun metabolic dysfunction, but you have to eat your way back to good health. So basically you can eat so you can be unhealthy, or you can eat to be healthy. It's up to you. And again, what that looks like is going to be different for everybody. I think this comes down to one of the questions that I'll jump into a second that you've reached out, because we spoke about low carb, keto, and carnivore diets. And a lot of you were like, oh, well, Jack, are you going carnivore now? And I'm not. I still eat carbohydrates. I still eat a decent amount of carbohydrates. For me, I think carbs are good. I am going to start using the glucose monitors, and again, that will end up being a course that you can do within the True Form community, and so you can understand how to use it, and then once you get results, what do you do with your results, and how to improve your life. So that's all going to be in the True Form community. Again, the courses are free, but the community has a price on it. Where was I going with that? Sorry, 2 seconds. Something's popped up in the community. We spoke about different, I guess, diets, and a few of you have reached out and said, am I going carnivore? I'm not. I still eat carbohydrates. Since the episode, I have been more mindful of carbohydrate timing and when I eat my carbs. So trying to eat my carbs around workouts, like before and after a workout. So obviously you want carbohydrates before a workout so you have energy to absolutely smash it. And then also carbohydrates after the workout so you can help aid in recovery. So you actually get the benefits from the workout. Again, it's not necessarily the workout that gives you the benefits, it's your recovery afterwards where you get all the benefits. So just trying to time my carbs a little bit better. Again, once you get the glucose monitor on, you can dial that in a little bit more. But again, that's going to look different for everybody. And what you have to, again, asking better questions. A good question would be, why is Dr. Avi such a big fan of keto diets? That's a good question. You have to think the people coming to see her are people that have some sort of insulin issues or are carrying too much body weight, that sort of stuff. So they're coming to her in that scenario, and keto is going to help those people. So obviously she is a big fan of it, where, you know, if you are an athlete going to a dietitian and that dietitian only works with athletes, that dietitian is going to be saying carbohydrates are good, because athletes do want a lot of carbs so they can perform at a high level. So again, it's just where that person is spending most of their time helping people is generally where their opinion of these things come from. So again, high carb isn't bad and low carb isn't bad. It's just what scenario is it going to be helping a certain person? So that's why you have to ask the question, you know, what's influenced that person to be talking about high carb? And you go down that rabbit hole, and then you might be an athlete and you're like, well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I should up my carbohydrate intake. So again, ask better questions. That was, again, great episode. I learned a lot out of that. We dive into cholesterol. Cholesterol is for some reason, it's a very controversial topic, I guess you could say. I posted a clip of Dr. Avi talking about cholesterol and cholesterol only, and it's just had so many views on YouTube, just because, again, you can put certain words in YouTube and people just eat it up. But cholesterol, like, what is cholesterol, or is cholesterol bad for you? You can put that in a title, and because there is controversy around it, people watch it. I'm not going to go into it because, again, we talk about it in depth in the podcast, but I still don't know how you can eat cholesterol and it affects your cholesterol. Find that one out. That's a good question. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because I'll start on a rant and 20 minutes later I'll still be there. All right. Last one would be from Flabia. All right. Great episode. It was crazy how I come across, again, it comes back to the first episode we just wrapped up with Sarah, alchemy. So I was just in the right mindset. I was putting a lot of thought and passion and time writing it out into purpose, trying to find my purpose. I was questioning a lot about my life and what I'm doing. Am I doing the right thing with this True Form podcast? What direction is it going? Is it worth it? Am I worthy of actually doing this? Should I be the host of this podcast trying to help people live a long, healthy, happy life? And I was doing a lot of reflection on that, and I was reaching out to a lot of people, talking to a lot of people about this topic. And then Flavia just come across, the algorithm gods just knew I was after it. And I just watched one of her reels and I was just like, damn, it just hit me in the right spot at the right time. And I reached out to her there and then, got to come on the podcast and talk about this. And this episode was all about silencing that noise. A lot of the self-doubt we have with ourselves comes from external things that don't even matter and probably aren't, we're just letting those external things influence what we think we should be doing, instead of focusing on what we want to do and what will help us find that true form, that true life that we want to live. And trying to quieten that is not easy. Trying to get rid of, all the external things. And you could get off social media altogether, all that sort of stuff. But I still don't think that's going to quieten the noise of, are you worthy of doing whatever you want to do? And what is success and all that sort of stuff? And what's purpose? So, again, little quote here. When you stop jumping at every opportunity that feels right and start building a life that is actually one with purpose. So, again, not necessarily chasing your feelings, because feelings are fleeting. That is directly from Flabia. Because you might feel excited about one thing. Again, the whole motivation/discipline thing. You jump into one thing because you're motivated, and then you realize, that's no good. And you've just done it because it was motivating, or people around you were excited about that thing and that influenced you into it. So if you can just take the time to learn what your anchors are, we go over that in the podcast, what life means to you, what you are chasing, what are your passions, what do you want to do? Again, what is your true form? What does your true form look like? If you can take the time to learn those things, when these exciting things come up, you can just have a little bit more resilience towards just, jumping into them and just, almost wasting your time, wasting your effort, wasting your passion on something that doesn't align with you and is not for you. And again, you can implement that with exercise all day long. How many times have you seen a cool looking exercise or workout routine on social media when you're like, yes, I'm going to jump into that and do it. You do it once and it doesn't really work. It's only once and it's cool that you tried it. But again, you could have been spending that time doing something that actually works, that aligns with you and your goals and what you like doing in the gym, rather than, something exciting that some person said to do. Don't know if that was a good example either. You all know the examples. All right. Okay, cool. All recording still in the community. We're going to get into some Q&As. Again, big thanks to everybody that submitted a question. I'm going to try and rapid fire some of these. We've been going for about half an hour, so let's get through them. What habits do you see most people getting wrong? This is where I should have kept the chat open in the community, because I know there's not many of you in there, but you could have been helping me out. I'd just say sleep. I'm going to say the biggest habit people get wrong is sleep, because people just underestimate how important it is. If you can improve your sleep and have good sleep hygiene, a good wind down routine, just get your devices. Get your bloody phone out of the bedroom. That is one thing that you can do that will improve your sleep habits. I can't stress that enough. Just getting your phone, getting all your devices out of the room, is going to improve your sleep dramatically. And it's so simple to do. What's the downside of putting your phone outside the room? Unless you're some sort of emergency worker or something like that, where you're on call or something, that's fair enough. If you're on call in that scenario, yeah, you're going to have your phone. But I'm going to say 99.9% of you listening to this podcast aren't in that scenario. And even when those people aren't on call, you shouldn't have that phone in the room. So again, I reckon sleep is probably the biggest habit people get wrong. What's one piece of advice that you give to all your clients that you secretly need to hear too? Good question. Sleep. I'd say my sleep hygiene, it's good and bad. I don't have any devices in the room. It's just my light alarm and my bed, and obviously clothes, because your wardrobe's always in your bedroom. But just going to bed on time and winding down properly is one thing I struggle with. So I'm lucky. I don't say this lightly. I do feel lucky that I love working out. I don't need to be motivated to go and work out. I'm always working out consistently, because working out is what I enjoy. So one of the biggest challenges, obviously, getting my clients just to turn up and be consistent. I don't have to worry about that. So eating, I like good food and I enjoy cooking. A lot of people don't even enjoy cooking. Actually, that was one thing Cam said in his podcast. When I asked, what should everybody doing if you could get everybody in the world to do one thing? And he said, start cooking, or learn how to cook, I think. But if you can learn how to cook, just a little bit better than what you're doing. Again, cooking is one of those things you're going to be doing. You're going to cook food. And when I'm around other people and they're like, oh, Jack, you can chop like a chef, or you cook like this, or you cook and it's just when I'm chopping something, what's the most efficient way to chop something up? And a chef is going to be chopping the most efficient way, because they got to get that meal out as quick as they can. So yeah, it looks like I chop chop food up like a chef, but it's just the most efficient way of doing it and the best way of doing it. So why not do that? Because you're going to be doing it anyway. So invest in some decent knives and stuff like that, chopping boards, all that sort of thing, and it just makes the whole process a lot better. I don't even know how I got onto that. Sorry. So advice that I need to hear as well. So I'd say just sleep. I'll stop chatting. But yeah, me improving my sleep, not necessarily in the bedroom and the hygiene of the bedroom. Again, I sleep in a cold, dark room. But it's just trying to wind down before I go to bed is what I need to work on. And I'm pretty sure every single one of you listening needs to work on as well. If someone only had 30 minutes a day to improve their health, what should they focus on? Good question. But also, are you focusing on all the other things that you're already doing? I feel like that's the whole theme of this podcast. As long as that person is focusing on the things they're already doing, again, you're eating, you're sleeping, moving around, are you doing those things the best you can? Tick, tick, tick. Good. If you had only 30 minutes, what should they focus on? Again, food prep. If you got 30 minutes, you can definitely prep a lot of food in 30 minutes if you know how to cook properly and chop properly, or chop efficiently, I should say. When it comes to exercise, if you only had 30 minutes, I'd do some, almost said do a HIIT workout. I do a HIIT workout when I only have 30 minutes, but I have been training since I was 15. I'm now 38. I'm old, getting there. So I know what I'm doing when it comes to exercising, movements, intensity. Like I know what combination of exercises get my heart rate up, build strength, hypertrophy, all that sort of stuff. So if you're new to exercise, you're not going to know that stuff. So I wouldn't recommend doing a HIIT workout. So for me, I would do a HIIT workout. For somebody that's getting into the gym, starting to learn all that sort of stuff, I'd go into the gym and just do one exercise for 30 minutes. Deadlift, bench press, shoulder press, pull-ups, some sort of big compounding movement, back squat, that sort of thing, and just focus on it. Just do, like, you got 30 minutes, just build the weight up to whatever is challenging for you, and just do 5 reps, like 1 rep every minute for 30 minutes, an EMOM for 30 minutes of 1 rep or a couple of reps. If you're just learning back squats, and if you do 5 reps every minute for 30 minutes, trust me, that is a hard workout, and no matter what level you're at, you're going to struggle. Even a goblet squat, if you can't get a back squat and you're that new, you're still doing goblet squats, which is a great exercise, you do 5 goblet squats every minute for 30 minutes, you're going to be ruined. Or you could do 5 goblet squats in the first minute, 5 shoulder press in the next minute, and alternate that for 30 minutes. You've done 15 sets on both. Good workout. Again, you can, and that's not too intense, but you're going to get a lot of volume in. You're going to be moving your body. I think that would be a good workout. I have got a podcast coming out soon about running and that sort of stuff, so I wouldn't recommend going for a run. Most people can't run properly. Running technique is very complex. People think running is just simple and you can go out and run, but they're usually causing more damage to their body. So if you want to get outside and do something like that, I'd just recommend a walk at a decent pace, like zone 2 cardio. Right? No, people don't do enough zone 2 cardio. So yeah, maybe some zone 2 cardio. I don't know. What do you want to do for 30 minutes? As long as it's moving, don't really care. All right. We're into a question about an episode. All right, bear with me. We're getting through them. All right, this is to do with Dr. Sarah Williams. So the first episode we wrapped up. Do you believe art, like rapping, can play a role in health and well-being strategies? So in the episode, Sarah spoke about how she's written a book, and her book followed certain refugees that used rap to, I guess, get themselves through sort of pretty tricky situations, tricky periods in their life, and they used rap, and their rap was a reflection of their life and what they were going through, and that got them through, and it was pretty cool to see, like, hear where they are now and what they're doing now. And a lot of them have achieved some great things. Like, again, I'd say they're living their true form. So does art like rapping help you live a long, healthy, happy life and find your true form? Hell yeah. And that Sarah that's an example of that. So if you're ever wondering like different ways of doing it, if you go back even further and, damn it, forgotten her name. Jordana, comedian. So she used comedy to improve her life and help her get through tricky situations and find her true form. So like, whether it's art, like rapping, it could be writing, like writing a book, writing essays. It could be comedy. It could be painting. Like art, I think, is a big thing that can help you find your true form and live a long, healthy, happy life. I think it's one thing that I haven't really delved into, and I do enjoy the artistic side of podcasting. Like I do all the editing. I do that because I like it and I can change things and, put certain things over. Maybe that's my art of getting, things people have said that can influence you in a right way. I don't know. Maybe I need to dive into rapping. I've always thought it'd be cool to be able to rap. Never asked me to rap. I'm not going to do it here ever. All right, next question. Do you still believe cheat meals? Do you still believe in cheat meals, or has your thinking evolved? Did I ever believe in cheat meals? I think cheat meals probably going to get a lot of, don't know. Had a guest on, so in 2 weeks, next week or the week after, got a guest on talking all about eating disorders, traumas that lead to eating disorders. So, and we talk about this. We talk about how, sometimes maybe previous traumas, things that happen to you that are in your subconscious that are telling you that it's okay to eat this food. Again, I'm probably overcomplicating this question. I'll give you the easy answer, and then we'll dive into a little bit of a hard answer. I don't think cheat meals should be a thing. I don't think you should need a cheat meal. You should just be eating the way you want to eat. And if you're eating healthy foods that make you feel good, that, give you energy, you don't want to eat bad foods. I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy a food that you enjoy every now and then, but obviously, I don't want you to call it a cheat meal. It's just something that you eat within your diet occasionally, okay? I'll leave it there. Listen to this episode coming out soon. It's all about eating disorders, traumas, all that sort of stuff. Big thanks to Sarah for coming on the episode and sharing some of her history. It's a very emotional episode. We dive into a lot. Have a listen to that one. All right, back to another question about a podcast, Mamuch's episode. Mamuch talked about success being rooted in helping his community. Again, if you didn't listen to the episode, Mamuch talked about creating a charity. He is a refugee from South Sudan. Obviously, I don't really watch the news, so I don't really get involved with all that sort of stuff, but there's a lot of, I guess, within his community, South Sudanese community, there's a lot of, probably, I'm just going to say, not good stuff, not good press, people not doing good things. And he's somebody who's just seen that and is coming out and going I will succeed when my community is, feeling at home within the Australian community and we're treated as equals type thing. Again, he goes over that in the podcast. I love that sort of mindset. So he's sort of stepping up and saying, when my community feels at home, I've succeeded. What does success mean to you right now? I think the same thing, but just in a different way. So if this podcast helps somebody find their true form, I think I've succeeded. I think it's just as simple as that, to be honest. You have interviewed a few authors now. I have got quite a few authors on the docket now, which has been good. If you were to write a book based on the True Form podcast, what would the title be? True Form, of course. How to find your true form, I think would be the good title for the book. But I wouldn't write a book. I would create a community and create courses based on the learnings from the podcast, which is what I'm doing and which is what I'm recording live here now for the people in the community. And that's what I'd rather do, because podcasts can be similar to books. I don't know if you got I read books, and a lot of the time after you read them, you're like, yes, it's got a lot of good learnings. You sometimes even go through, I'll fold the corner of a page over and go, I'm going to come back to that and reference that again. And you never do. Same with podcasts. You listen to a podcast and, Dr. Avi Charlton, a lot of good info in that podcast about cholesterol, dieting, all that sort of stuff, and healthy habits and what you should be doing. And you go, yes, all those are good. I'm going to go back and revisit it and start implementing. And you never do. You never do. So books and podcasts are the same. And that's what I'm trying to like flip the narrative and create the community. So, the good lessons, the teachings, the habits, the strategies that come from the podcast are put into something that is physical that you can actually do, like a course, a PDF, challenge within the community that you are actually doing. So that's why that's why I wouldn't write a book, and not that the question said, are you going to write a book? But it's the community that I'm trying to create that would change that. And the title of the community is the True Form Protocol. So maybe that's the title of the book. That was a long way. Took a long time to get to that answer. All right, so we've got 3 more. Another question about Flabia's episode, so the most recent episode before this one. How do you stay anchored? So again, the podcast, if you haven't listened, was all about finding your anchors and what is true to you so you can find purpose. How do you stay anchored when you're pulled between different roles, coach, podcaster, community leader? Wouldn't say I'm a community leader yet. There's only a handful of people in the community. So hopefully next time we record this, I can actually say there's a decent amount of people in there, and I'd say that's a community. But yeah, big thanks to that person that wrote that question in. Obviously, you're paying attention to what I'm doing, coach and podcaster. So, sorry, what was the question? How do I stay anchored when I'm feeling pulled between different roles that I'm doing? It's challenging. I can't say I've got the best answer, but everything I do, so whether I'm coaching somebody, recording a podcast now, or getting a guest on, it's all to try and help somebody, that person, you, find your true form. So whether I'm working with somebody in person, again, interviewing, I'm always trying to, I've found my anchors. I know what my purpose is. So whatever I'm doing, no matter what role I'm in, that's always the goal. And I have different opportunities come up, like people reaching out, trying to, collaborate, do things. And again, they're cool and they're exciting, but it's like that doesn't really align to me. Like that, how's that going to help somebody find their true form? That's what I always ask. So again, if I'm working with somebody in person, coaching or PTing, that's a perfect example. Like I've got an hour of somebody, or maybe longer, to help them find their true form. So obviously that's a real world scenario. And I'm trying to take those real world scenarios, the people that I interview on the podcast, and put it into the community so we can all learn together and create that true form community. Don't know if that helped, that actually answered the question. All right. Obviously my words are starting to go, so let's get through these last 2. All right. What do you do when it's time to... What? Again, last two. I'm getting there. How do you know when it's time to push harder versus pull back and recover? Good question. I'm glad I read it right. Great question. HRV is a good reader of that. To be honest, sometimes, again, I'm working with a certain athlete at the moment, and she is an absolute gun, and she's got a lot of energy. She's young. She's going to be she can absolutely kill it. And that's a good, that's what we talk about that a lot. Like, how do we know when to pull back and when will we push? Sometimes when you're feeling motivated and you're absolutely drained and you're pushing hard because you're motivated, is that a good thing? I don't know. And this comes down to you learning your body. So again, and that's what I want to create within the True Form community, like different courses where you can learn, where's your mind at? Where's your body at? Is it connected? Or is it disconnected and your mind's telling you to push your body when, you're injured? You might be noticing if you're watching, I'm moving like a robot today because I was in the gym yesterday pushing way harder than I should have, doing an exercise that I've done 100 times. I was literally just doing dumbbell shrugs, not even heavy. I've done thousands of them. And the past week, I've just been way too stressed, pushing the limits of my time, energy, all that sort of stuff. Probably not sleeping properly. And I probably should have just taken it easy in the gym. I know that. I didn't listen to my body. My mind was just like, let's get a workout in. Let's fucking smash it. And I hurt myself. Like I can hardly move my neck today. It's like, again, lesson learnt. Will I ever do that again? Not probably. But it's just a matter of you trying to learn your body. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a year. We're so disconnected from our body, our mind, vice versa, both. It's just very hard to connect them. I feel like most, got a great episode coming out about barefoot shoes, got a great crew on to talk about foot health, all that sort of stuff. And in there, Mick, he's like, we're just so disconnected from our feet. Like, we're just told to get it shoved into these shoes that are very bad for our feet, that give us not actually support. It actually, the opposite of support, makes our foot unhealthy, which can create all sorts of issues through our legs. But foot pain is just one thing we're just told it's okay and we're happy with. Like if you get back pain and you go see a physio, they don't just go, we're just going to put you in a brace for the rest of your life. No, they give you exercises to do. But so why is that right for your back and not for your feet? So again, there's just certain things that we overlook that we're just completely disconnected from. So like, how do you know when to push and how do you know when to recover? Again, you got to learn how to do that for yourself. You're going to fuck it up sometimes like I did, and you're going to be in pain for a few days because you can't turn your head. That's okay. I'm going to get back into it soon and keep moving and keep learning, keep being curious. All right, last one. How do you use HRV in your own life? There we go. Good question to end on. How do you use HRV in your own life now that you've explored it deeply? I am just going to refer you to the community and do the HRV course so you can learn how to use it yourself, because it is an individual thing, and that course is going to help you learn how to read it, how you can use it, and how you can implement it in your life. I guess now I just know like certain things are triggering my HRV, and like this all stemmed from Dr. Torkill's episode on HRV, so you can go back and listen to that. Great episode. But I asked him, like, because stress is it good? Is stress bad? And he said, stress is good as long as you can recover from it. So you can be doing things that, stress you out, that are good, that are going to move you forwards in life and help you achieve more, help you smash it. But if you're not recovering from them, then they are detrimental. So it's not necessarily cutting out the things that are stressing you. It's making sure that you're recovering from them things. And you use the HRV to learn what is stressing you. And then when you need to actually do those things, you're either prepping yourself so it's not so stressful or recovering from those things. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack in that. And again, there's a whole episode on it and there's a whole course on it. So I'd strongly recommend checking that out. All right, that's enough. I've been talking for way too long. Again, big thanks to everybody who submitted a question. Big thanks to you. If you're still here listening and in the community, I love you. I really do. Appreciate you, your time. All I ask is either do some courses, learn. Again, 100% free. I don't care if you do it and don't join the community and you've just improved yourself and find your true form. Share, like, subscribe, all that sort of fun stuff. If you do get something out of this episode, just share it with one friend or family member. Copy the show link and say, hey, check this episode out. Not this episode directly, but been releasing some good content. I'm sure there's an episode that you've enjoyed. Send that to one friend or family member. That will help me out a lot, and I appreciate you doing that. All right, let's go. Enjoy your week, everybody, and I'll see you with an awesome episode about food and trauma next weekend.